Everywhere we went during our tour of Isiolo district, the stories we were told have been the same. There has been rampant insecurity, underlined by the invasion of alleged bandits in the national park. So far, we had only encountered them from a distance, and we had kept that boundary on the advice of our guides and the police.
No. Don't go that place without proper.
But if only to get the other side of the story, we tried to speak to them. On our trip through the Shaba Reserve, we spotted some of them in the bushes, seemingly keeping watch as younger men herded cattle. We chose to approach the people we saw, hoping that they would lead us to the older men. What ensued were a few very tense moments, and we approached them with measured caution.
No, there's one.
Eventually, they let us walk up to the mound they were on. The old men kept back, unseen, perhaps trying to judge our intentions. We didn't speak to them. The younger boys told us that they had traveled to this point from Archer's Post, well over 80 kilometers to where we were. And their herds were just as emaciated as everyone else's. They said the people here were in search of the last few spots of pasture. Odd, because apart from this and one other area, Isiolo district virtually has no grass, much like the region that they're from in Samburu district. Yet there have been no invasions into the game reserves in Samburu. We pushed on, making it to Joyce Camp. A tourist campsite set up in the same place where legendary colonial independence-era conservationist Joy Adamson of the Born Free movie fame had her camp. It's quite removed from the more populated parts of Isiolo, so we found a small number of wildlife grazing here. Jamie Hendrickson, the manager of Joyce Camp, told us that the pickings here have been slim in terms of tourism numbers in the past few years, but the last few months have made it worse.
We've seen a noted reduction. Our occupancy for July and August, which should be one of our high seasons, the other being Christmas, New Year. There's political involvement, but no one wants to name names, no one wants to say what's going on. As a tourism operator, you get official statements.
But what does politics have to do with pasture? On the surface of things, the very present historical rivalries between the communities here contribute to any flare-ups in the violence. But our sources tell us that there are few more issues at play than just bad blood. Isiolo will be a key tourist hub in the Eastern Province, as planned in the government's long-term development plan Vision 2030. Politicians, while waxing lyrical about peace, have contributed in no small part to the tensions by pushing for election in 2012 in order to create the right kind of platform to benefit from the financial support the government ought to give the region. Isiolo district has a very cosmopolitan makeup, so any one of the larger communities there could win a parliamentary election. Then, allegations have been rife that the invasion into the Shaba Reserve may be to kill off tourism in Isiolo. The Isiolo County Council, before the violence began, used to collect 2 million shillings weekly from gate fees. Now it's down to below 500,000. Local politicians have pointed fingers at the Lower Conservancy and its founder, Ian Craig. Craig is now the Chief Executive Officer of the Northern Rangelands Trust. The story goes that Craig, through the officers of the Northern Rangelands Trust, has been abetting violence in the area in an attempt to drive wildlife into the Lower Conservancy and drive up visits and contributions to the Conservancy.
I've also seen those allegations in the press. I disregard them totally. These conservancies are very well managed, well controlled. They work closely with government. They're under the supervision and care of government. So I really, those allegations hold no credibility at all.
And of the government's failure to launch any serious disarmament campaign in the area, residents read mischief.
Mahali watu wanavamiwa ama wanapigwa, askari wachache wanatumwa. Watu 4 3 wanatumwa. Na askari wamejaa hapa, in fact I'm told over 200. Sijui wanafanya nini.
We are trying to find out who are actually the people allowed to have firearms within the area. But we are on them.
In the meantime, however, people are still dying. Sunday the 5th of September saw 4 more people killed in Merti by bandits just 3 days before we ran this story. But if the government thinks that the violence will end, the backlash from aggrieved communities will come very soon. Our sources tell us that already young men from one of the communities in Isiolo have already gone into hiding, building their strength and ammunition. And their vengeance, residents tell us, will be swift.
From what I'm hearing is that people watu wataka kulipiza kisasi. Na ukisikia wanalipiza kisasi, sio kusikia tu peke yake, itakuja kufanyika. Itakuwa ni hatari sana. It's like it might happen like Turbi massacre. Na wakisema hivyo wanasema it's going to happen. And that's the fear that we are having.
The government's approach to dealing with the threat of armed communities in the Upper East seems to have failed. One of the communities accused of being the aggressor community, the Samburu, had their cattle confiscated in March 2009 and their weapons taken away, leaving them helpless against other armed communities. This perceived inability to deal with the problems of the Upper East is crushing tourism there and killing off prospects for other parts of the country.
The administration, on the other hand, confirmed to me that they are not able to guarantee the security of the guests or the staff who are working here. And that is a very worrying situation for me.
Since the end of the tenure of John Michuki as Internal Security Minister, there has been no attempt to disarm all armed communities all at once. And politicians have used this to their advantage, as Aden Galgalo found out.
Gari ndio wako na bunduki. Wachungaji ndio wako na bunduki, na hii bunduki sio halali. Hatujui, lakini there must be something.
And if the government is unable to sort out these political problems, then this will just be another chapter in the history of communities that shed blood for pasture. John Allen Abu, KTN, for the Inside Story.